About the hum of a massive software firm, the deadlines, the data, the rigid hierarchies. Now, imagine a woman at the very top of that machine as the head of HR who realizes that the most critical software isn't on the servers, it's the invisible scripts running inside the people.
That realization was the origin of a transformation that changed the landscape of leadership coaching in India. Our guest today isn't just studying the human operating system. She dismantled her own and rebuilt it piece by piece, moving from boardroom to the heart of human psychology.
She is a singer, a best-selling author, and an MCC accredited coach who helps leaders find what she calls a strong spine and open heart.
She is one of the rare few globally to receive the Muriel James Living Principles Award because she doesn't just teach transaction analysis, she lives it.
On the OKR, we trace the DNA of growth to find clarity for our own. Today, we are joined by the incredible Sailaja Manacha, or Sai. Sai, welcome to OKR.
Thank you, Piyush and Eric. I have not heard such a warm and colorful description of me or my work. So thank you.
There. You're welcome, Sai. Sai, I want to start with the version of you who was the head of HR in the tech world. It's almost like you were a special agent inside that machine. What was the origin of that moment when you realized that the corporate ladder you were climbing was leaning against the wrong wall? What did you have to leave behind? Or who did you have to disappoint to finally follow your own vices?
Wow, that's like a walk back almost 24 years. I don't think I saw myself at all as a special agent, Eric. I think I was a very competent child. What a strange combination of words. But I think that's what I was, a competent child. And I happened to do TA 101 and start my advanced TA journey when I was still in the corporate leading HR. And I think the unraveling of my own self in that process of the next 2 or 3 years, all the hidden layers beneath, that started unraveling. I think it was that experience that brought me fully in touch with the significance of knowing our humanness with its strengths and its flaws. And I found that I began bringing some of that sensitivity, those fresh eyes into the workplace. Every meeting and every individual and every difficult case and conversation that I had as an HR person, I began to apply that lens and found that it was fascinating when one applied that lens. Yeah, to begin to observe people's behaviors, to see just the dynamics unfold, to begin to look at the programs that the internal human software program that was guiding so many things. And I just found that my practice of human resources itself began changing with that. And I think that was really the start of the process of beginning to see beyond the role, beyond titles, beyond team structures, just at looking at the human being there and introducing these ideas into the workplace, yeah, about looking at ourselves as a human being, looking at relationships, communication, everything that we learn in the initial years in TA. So I think that was really the start. And I'm coming to the latter part of your question of what I had to dismantle. Um, I don't think I don't see it so much as dismantling, Eric. I just see that I had a very warped relationship with my child, with my internal child, a very warped, critical, harsh relationship. Because I just come from a background where performance was everything. And so, in such a background, the child really has to go into hiding. So, I think I had to integrate those aspects which I may have cut off or had a harsh relationship with in a very loving way. And I think that was really my journey of beginning to very, very slowly hold a deep, deep compassion for myself. And what a harsh journey I may have put myself onto, really. Yeah. Of course, till then, um, I prided that journey to a big extent. I remember very much wearing it as a chip on my shoulder. And that was the really coming to the truth of it through TA that happened for me. Um, and yeah, I do think there may have been some disappointments from my family ecosystem, though I'm not entirely aware of that, because I went on to give up human resources and instead step fully into TA, private practice, and psychotherapy. And we know 20 years ago what that meant in India. It just meant a trickle of clients, and you would be grateful if you could even charge 300 rupees for your work. So you can imagine giving up corporate success and career and moving into something like this. Clearly, there would have been some impressions. And I think I also definitely would have not dared to do that before my TA journey. But I think the group uh, of the learning group in TA, the trainers, supervisors, I think that really brought a new strength to my choices. And then I dared to do something like that. After many years, for a long time, I had one foot in each boat for many, many years. I did HR from Monday to Friday and private practice on Saturday and Sunday, till I found the courage to completely step into just one boat and row in that for a while. So, yeah.
Quite fascinating that is. It reminds me of my own transition from engineering to what I do today, and I really love that myself.
Mm.
Uh, so you went initially, you said 300, 400 in a place like Bangalore for doing therapy, and eventually you got into training as well, right? You
Yes.
started, yeah. So one thing that I'm curious about your journey as a trainer subsequent is uh, you might have gone solo initially, but you spent a fair bit of time partnering with Ragini Rao in a world where experts want the spotlight on themselves. So you chose partnership. Uh, how did that collaboration shape your human OS? What did you learn about yourself?
Piyush, I do not see myself as an expert in the first place. So that word itself doesn't, I feel it doesn't apply to me. Like, who are you talking about? That would be my first reaction, right?
Mhm.
And at that time, and so there was a great comfort in knowing that we would, bumble along together and figure out our way as we started TA training. And I just thought it would be very, very helpful to have another mind and another pair of eyes. We were doing something new for us. So, and there was a very great alignment in how we thought about TA training, about therapy, about what kind of group we wanted to have and how we would design it differently from what we had been through together as students in the same group, because we had a year or two overlap when we were together in the same TA training group. So we had the same frame of reference and we had clear ideas on what we wanted to do differently. There was a lot of alignment. So I think that's really how we moved forward. We're talking about 13 years ago, Piyush. And I think when I think of the many last few years of how my thought process would have developed, I don't think I had that. I don't think I had some grand thinking when I started working with Ragini. But the experience of working and being fellow trainers with one group, that has been very, very powerful. And in a way, it sets the stage. Those first initial years, it has set the stage for almost everything else that I do now. Because even if I can work alone now, I do not work alone by choice. Even if I can very well execute even corporate projects just by myself, I do not work alone. I actively bring in other colleagues. I share my work. Uh, I just share a lot. I just feel it is the way forward. And so in a way, that template has kind of become the way that I work now. And yeah, yeah.
It's interesting. It's very interesting you say about um, the choice that you made, that you do not work alone, and it's a choice that you look for partnership, and that has become a source of strength uh, with with a lot of things that you do, Sai. So we often celebrate growth, Sai, but in TA we know that to grow we often have to betray an old version of ourselves or family script.
Mm.
What was the hardest script for you to break when you decided to leave that secure world?
The hardest script, I think, was to know that I am giving up the corporate ladder and I'm giving up versions of a successful life as the world sees it. Because I think when you move up the corporate ladder, getting better and better titles and roles, it comes with a certain great financial freedom because of how one is compensated. I think that was what I was giving up, because that aspect of growing yourself that way was very much part of my family script. It's what my father and mother would have expected and wanted, and which is why they may have even educated us that way, so that we have an open path to move in that direction. And I think that would have been one of the most difficult aspects of giving that up and coming into this world of psychology and, quiet, working in a corner by yourself, no public applause of any kind, and no financial satisfaction either. Yeah, I think if it wasn't that I had a spouse who shares these deep values that TA espouses, and he had a stable job so that we weren't worried about putting food on the table and bringing up the family, I don't think I would have managed to do or take this path at all. Yeah, because not only did I leave corporate and get into private practice, I then went on, along with another colleague, Annie Karyappa, to actually set up a wellness center. And we did that for so many years, taking no money from it at all. So it was just days and days of a lot of work setting up that organization. It was a trust. So yeah, I think I'm very grateful for the kind of alignment that I have received at home, because of which I could pursue this.
So the word positive rebellion comes to my mind, and it's a strange way to put it, against the parent, maybe in your head or whatever. But I really, it's so inspiring that you found support around you, whether it was Ragini to start with, or then, like you say, at home. So I sense that you also, maybe from that experience, consciously look at caring for yourself. So there's a compassion, you say, that developed for yourself, and you have sought partnerships, not just professionally, but also for caring for yourself. I've heard you talk about that. Can you say something to that?
Caring for myself?
Yeah.
Okay. I think caring for myself began really with my TA journey, and increasingly as I began to get ready for my CTA and all the experiences in coming up to that point. I think very, very, slowly but surely, the nurturing within, I think that quotient really began going up. However, I do feel that the full lesson on it um, came a little after 2010 when my younger daughter, we had brought her home. And she is, she was a child with a lot of difficulties. Um, and that needed that we homeschool her and run a neurological program with her at home for her healing and shift in how she functioned as a 6-year-old. And that was I can by far imagine that that was one of the most difficult moments in our family journey, because it meant taking the child out of school. I completely gave up work. I closed all the organizations that I was working with. And we used to work with her in that format of a program for 12 hours a day, and I think that was very significant time because I am an ambitious person, because by then I was working in therapeutically, but I had already started some amount of work back in the corporate in facilitation and leadership work. So to then give up all that and only bring myself to the role of a mother was very hard, because I don't have that template in me at all. Yeah, I have come from a family where I've seen my mother has worked from before I was born, right? So to be a working woman is the only template that I had. And so to give up all of it and only be in the role of mothering, and that too in such a tough environment of doing all of these things that were totally alien and new to me, was very challenging. And the only way to have survived those 2 years was self-care. And I think that for me was a permanent lesson. I say permanent because there hasn't been turning back ever after that. I don't see myself in overwhelm, and I don't see myself acting out, getting worked up. It's just, it's really over, because that period taught me the value of community, of even more leaning into other people and their energy, caring for myself, bringing in multiple people who could support me, care for me, take care of my interests, giving myself a break, making requests, being dependent on others. So, really, many aspects of my script were hugely challenged. And I'm just ever grateful that I could even have such a tough period in my life, because I think both resilience and self-care sort of, I think it's got hardwired into how I am now uh, since then. So yeah, I think that's been my journey. So I'm such a big advocate of it, and I truly think that um, I think in India culturally how we are so encouraged to work hard, and this kind of messaging is is so loud in our homes. Like, work hard, be somebody, get somewhere. And then we're dealing with the numbers that we deal with in our country. So everybody's really running and really jostling to get in the front. And yeah, just if you look at our travel system, it becomes obvious to us why we are so competitive. Even to get a seat on a bus or a train is like a humongous task, right? And I grew up in Mumbai, which is such a tough city, right? So I think when I think of my upbringing, when I think of the cultural context, I really feel self-care is a little lost on us. We just don't get it at all. And I see that all the time today, even in my work with leaders, right? That apart from just mouthing some platitudes around it, people really don't get it. It is a very, very tough muscle to grow. And I fully empathize because I've been there too. I understand this water that we're swimming in. So, yeah, I think that's truly been a journey, and I'm very grateful that I that I've learned it. Yeah.
So in moving from corporate to therapy and working with your child and your parent in a sense, as well as this bit you say about being a mother and discarding everything you kind of know. Eric Burns' terms is like a new show on the road, can I say?
Yeah.
Is what I notice you having done, which is very inspiring, is what I would say.